This afternoon we're at Golden Acre for the Scottish Hydroelectric Super Cup Group B match between Heriots and Dundee High School FP. And with these matches being played under the IRB experimental law variations, the crowds are now expecting open and exciting rugby, and that's exactly what they got. Certainly in the opening minutes, Mark Teague making that dash down the right wing. The Heriots forwards getting in it, keeping the ball alive, and well, when Apollosi Satala got the ball out to Andrew Wilson, Dundee had simply run out of defenders. Opening try for Heriots, and no problem with a conversion for Graham Wilson. But with perfect conditions for running rugby, Dundee weren't going to be denied. And with Dave Parkhill getting them on the board with a penalty. Well, what's this? Two lock forwards running the ball from their own 22, and oh, big Mark Jenkinson, terrific 75-yard dash there for that try. And then he probably remembered he had another 70 minutes to play. But terrific open stuff there from Dundee. Heriots hit back with 13 minutes gone. The ball coming back very quickly from the breakdown there. Satala, the man, the link man yet again. And well, he just sliced through that Dundee defence like a hot knife through butter. Defenders falling off him. And in for a try that looked oh so easy. Graham Wilson's conversion took Heriots into a 14 points to 8 lead. Dave Parkhill reduced the margin again with a penalty, but then just on the half hour, Dundee getting in the attack, but a wee fumble there, snaffled by Heriots at the breakdown, and John Houston taking advantage, scampering all the way up to almost the 22. Satala almost inevitably there, feeding it back to Houston. Great tackle by Lindsay Graham, but the ball flipped out by Graham Wilson. Good support, and Thomas McVee's pass finding Mark Teague, ready to finish off what he does so well. And of course that pair of teammates in the Scottish Club International who play Ireland just up the road at Megatland on Friday night. Dundee, well, that one straight off the training paddock, and you can tell with that big grin on Neil McComb's face that it worked. They don't always work, but that one was absolutely perfect. Dave Parkhill getting the conversion, and Heriots going into half-time with a 1 point lead at 19 points to 18.
Scottish Rugby Radio is now updated every Monday. Join Stuart Cameron and his guests for the news, match reports and expert comment on the Scottish game. ScottishRugbyRadio.com. Now every Monday.
Into the second half, and Heriots with that 1 point lead, and indeed trying to dig their way out of a wee hole inside their own 22, and that wasn't quite the way to do it. Maybe deserved a big welly down the park, but left to Lindsay Graham to try and run it out of defence. Turnover there, picked up by Gavin Broomfield, the big man charging on. Graham Wilson whipping the ball out, and lovely run around there by Mark Teague, and who was on the outside? That man Satala yet again. Going in for a try to take Heriots into a 24 points to 18 lead just a minute into the second half, but almost immediately Dundee hit back. That try by Graham Thompson, reducing the margin yet again to 1 point, and Dave Parkhill's conversion, yep, straight through the middle, so Dundee ahead, 25-24. Well, the crowd might not understand all the new laws, but they've certainly got to admit that it's making for an open game, it's making for an entertaining game, but it still remains to be seen exactly what the ELVs are going to produce, but if they continue to produce rugby like that, lovely inside ball from Danny Levinson, Graham Thompson held just short. That's the sort of rugby that a lot of the crowd want to see. Ball coming back there on the Dundee side. We dipped by Jack Reevely. Inside ball and Mike Kerr there for the full-back to go over and stretch the lead with Dave Parkhill's conversion to 8 points, 32-24, going into the final quarter. Dundee keeping up the pressure. Pick up there by Neil McComb. And they got the ball back from that wee guddle, and Lindsay Graham beating the ball out, and the man on the end of that pass was Danny Levinson going into the corner yet again, stretching Dundee to 37 points to 24, but Heriot's quite determined to come back into the game. Good run there by fullback Andrew Wilson, taken down by George Ooman, and Ooman staying on his feet, fighting for that ball, but still coming back on the Heriot side after the breakdown. Thomas McVie feeding it out, and wow, in for his hat trick, and very well deserved to Apolosi Setala. And somebody ought to tell him, despite the way the game's been played this afternoon, it isn't sevens, because it's a sevens trick. Get the conversion over and let's get on with the game. And then into the final minutes, Dundee still giving the ball width, still using the space, and Ooman again there, like Setala, probably covered every blade of grass on the Golden Acre pitch. Then Graham Thompson getting the benefit of that charge downfield. Godwin would have liked that sort of luck last week. And then the final pass putting Mark Jenkinson in for his second try. Some great rugby. And we asked the coaches and players how they felt about the effect of the new laws.
I think there's a lot to take in. That's the first thing. There's a lot of new changes for players, coaches and officials. So yeah, I think it's quite difficult when you introduce so many new changes at once. I think the key thing is not so much what it means for the coaches and what it means for the officials. The players love it. You know, and the 3 games that we've played, it's maybe we've lost 2 and drawn 1, but every time our guys have come off, and they think the new rules have a positive impact on the game, a positive impact on their enjoyment of the game. So I think there's a lot to take in at once, which means the games are a bit scrappy. But if they cherry pick the best of those rule changes, I think they would make a positive impact on the game.
We're starting to learn the new rules, we're starting to develop and adapt to them, which kind of helps us in the long term, especially when it comes to the 3rd game there. We know what to do at breakdowns, we know to listen to the referee now, and we know how to adapt to things, the basic rules, which is helping the game expand for us, because that's our type of game, and that's what we've been taught to do throughout. So it helps us against bigger teams or big bulky packs. We can adapt and move the ball wide.
I think it's definitely a quicker game. The breakdowns are still a wee bit scrappy, but it does mean that you need to put a lot more people into the breakdown, quick ball, and you get an open game like you did today with plenty of scores on the board. So it's reasonable. I think the one thing that would have made it easier would be if we'd had a continuous run of 3-4 games in a row, rather than one Super Cup followed by a cup followed by a league. But as a whole, Heriot's quite like them because we quite like running rugby.
The players enjoyed it, today. The breakdown is crucial. If that is policed properly, and I think both sides were coming in the gate, there wasn't a lot of hands in the ball. The last few weeks there have been so many people fighting for the ball. Today maybe just a couple of pairs of hands, and I think it kept it open. Everybody that was in the stand will have enjoyed the game of rugby, and the result was it was obviously pleasing for us. We'd set out to play with real tempo today. We had put all our subs on at half time and tried to keep the thing alive, but it suits our style of game. We try and offload, keep it out of the tackle, and I think today proved that this is our 3rd game, as I said, that the refs were starting to get the feel for it, and the players definitely have done, and I hope some of them will come through. I think once IRB have a look at them and get a chance to evaluate coaches, players, the whole lot, that there'll be a number of these do become part of world rugby.
So there we have it, a match which produced over 70 points. It remains to be seen how many of the experimental laws will be adopted, but certainly at the moment they're giving the crowds a lot to cheer about. This is Ron Evans for Scottish Rugby Television at Golden Acre.